All right, so to summarize really quickly, when either writing additive word problems, which again are addition or subtraction, or classifying word problems, you first need to ask yourself, do I have one quantity that is either getting bigger or smaller, in which case that would be an action problem where the quantity is changing, or do I have two different quantities like red apples and green apples? If I have two different quantities, I would be on this page with the put together take apart problems or the compare problems. If I have one quantity changing, it would either be an add to or a take from problem. So if I have one quantity that's changing and it's getting bigger, that makes it an add to problem. If I have one quantity changing and that one quantity is getting smaller, like I have 5 apples and then some apples are eaten, how many apples are left? We have apples, one quantity, and the amount of apples is getting smaller, it makes it a take from. If I have my two quantities and I put those two quantities together to come up with a total, that's a put together problem. Whereas if I have two quantities and I want to know the difference between them, or I have two quantities and the difference between them, that is a compare problem. And then in each case, the unknown can change. So I can have one quantity which gets bigger and I can either not know the result, not know how much I changed by, or not know where I started, but it's still one quantity getting bigger. That is all of this. Or I can have one quantity that gets smaller and I could not know how much I ended with, how much I changed by, or how much I started with, but it's still all one quantity getting smaller. Versus given two quantities and I put them together to come up with their total, I can either know the two quantities and not the total, or I can know one quantity in the total but not the other. Or for a compare problem, I have the two problems I'm comparing, the two different values I'm comparing and their difference, and I could either not know the difference, or I could know the smaller and the difference but not the bigger, or I can know the bigger number and the difference but not the smaller. So again, those are the questions you have to ask yourself when you approach these additive problem types, right? One quantity that either changes or two different quantities that don't change, and we're either combining them or comparing them. So it'll take a lot of practice, a lot of work with these. Make sure you get them down right early on because they're not going away.